Hey, what's going on? Today we are talking about something that I think is relatable to everyone in the world, and that is going to be triggers. Because there is someone in your life, there's something in your life, or somewhere in your life that is triggering to you. And what I mean by that is when you experience an individual, when you experience a situation, there's something that boils up inside, whether it be inside your body, inside your head, but there's something about this situation and this individual that bothers you. And today I'm going to talk to you about how you can identify why this is. But this is one of the most important things, I think, is identifying the reason behind triggers. Because if you can't identify why something is bothering you, it's going to be very difficult to get it to stop, right? So first we're going to talk about subconscious patterns just to review quickly. And then I'm going to jump into an exercise that I call the trigger peeler, where you can do this alongside of me and you can even get the worksheet at the end, where you can download this and just go through the different triggers in your life to kind of peel back the layers and understand, like, why do these things actually bother me, or why does it create a response inside of me. So to review quickly, talking about the idea of subconscious patterns is that at some point in your life you had an experience, let's just call it traumatic or difficult or whatever it might be, that you had that was not good, and it left an imprint in your body of memory, emotions, and sensation. And this ultimately creates a story around this event and why these things occur and how they affect you, which causes you to have beliefs. And ultimately, it puts you into this pattern. And that's what we're going to talk about today is how do we actually get into this pattern? And it's because of a trigger. So if we go back to this map here, we can see that in the future, we get a subconscious trigger that comes into our life, and it sets us off back into this behavioral pattern that we cycle and we repeat. And I'm guessing that you don't want to keep doing that. And an example of this is, let's just say that you have a relative, maybe it's a mother, father, sister, cousin, uncle, who knows. And every single time you interact with them, you end up exploding into an argument and you get so angry with them and you can't stand the way that they think or the things that they say. And you end up creating a very big confrontation every single time that you see them. And you want to figure out why. Like, why is this happening to me? And I want to stop this. Or let's say something at work. You're a business owner, and every time this client calls or every time this vendor calls, they just set you off. And you end up having a bad interaction. Next thing you know, you're wasting money, you're wasting time, and it's pretty annoying. So when you understand your triggers, we can move past them, or I would say you move through them. So let's talk about what are some examples of a trigger. So like just using myself and some of the clients I've worked with, it gives me ideas of some of these triggers that pop up. Authority figures, if you're someone who doesn't like to take orders, negative relationships, it could be loud, chaotic environments, conflict, arguments, being ignored or overlooked could be one of them. Extreme temperatures, feeling any sort of constraint, hunger, dehydration, all these things can actually trigger a response in your psychology, right? So these things trigger a response in your psychology, which then elicits a response inside of your physiology. So my friend Tony DeLauer always says this, the mind navigates the body, and that's exactly what happens here. Is we have a trigger that goes off in our head and our mind navigates the body and ends up creating some sort of destructive experience for us inside. Some more triggers could be criticism, judgment, negative self-talk, notifications on things all the time if you don't like to be bothered. Social media feeds, this is a huge one. Every time you go on social media, if you're getting triggered by the same people, there's probably a reason. And it's probably a reflection of something that's been going on inside or in your past. So let's talk about how do we actually peel back these triggers. And this is what this looks like. So the first thing that we're looking at, the very top of this pyramid, when it comes to a trigger, is identifying what is the actual trigger, right? What is the thing that's bothering me? What is the specific action, the behavior, like the very specifics of what it is? And then we want to identify, where did it originate from? Like, can you point at when this started to bother you? Is there a time in your life? Is there a specific event? And after that event, it's just like, man, I cannot get over this thing, right? That's what we talk about with identifying the location. And then from there, we want to look at the who, right? So you can see we're looking at the what, where, who, and then why as the last piece. But the who is very important. You learned it from somebody else. Let's just get right to it. You learned it at some point in your life, you witnessed it, you observed someone behave that way, and then you learned to behave that way yourself. Like that's generally where these triggers responses are starting. So who taught you that this thing is a trigger, right? Where did you first see someone else become bothered by this thing, this event, this circumstance, whatever it may be, right? We want to identify the who because it's extremely important in moving through this trigger and getting it essentially checked off and approved. I want to say approved from your internal systems, but we want your internal systems to not be triggered by this any longer. And understanding who this came from is a really, really big piece of that. And then the last one is why. Like, why is this affecting your mental state? And this one is so important. Is like, what is it that's setting you off? And why is it creating such an internal response, right? So you can see those questions are slightly different. All right, we want to know what the trigger is. We want to know where it originated from on the timeline. We want to know who it originated from, who showed it to you. And then the last one, the most important piece, number 4, is why is this so triggering to your system? Right? What is going on inside? Like, why is this bothering me so much? And if you can take the time to go through this, it's amazing how clear you are going to get on all of these questions for the trigger. And when you become clear on these things, they dissipate, right? Fear of your trigger is just false evidence appearing real, right? So the false evidence is that you believe this trigger is going to do something to you, and that is why your body is responding. So the more clarity that we can get around this, the more likely it is for your mind to understand it. And when you understand it, you no longer become afraid of it, right? We need knowledge in order to dissipate fear. So getting to know your triggers, become familiar with them, again, the origins and everything in between is going to be the path for you to get past it, or I would say get through it. So what I'm going to provide you here, if you want it, is download this worksheet. This is a worksheet I use with my clients where they can actually peel back their triggers in real time. All you have to do, send me a message on Instagram down there in the comments. There should be a link to it. Shoot me a DM. I can get you the actual trigger peeler document so you can use this for yourself and go through each one of the things as they come up throughout your life that are bothering you. Like, what is it? Where did it originate? Who did it come from? Or who did you learn it from, more importantly? And then why does it affect your state? And I'm willing to bet that if you go through that and you get really clear on these triggers, you're going to find out pretty soon that there's not as many that are bothering you. So that is the trigger peeler. It's a really, really simple exercise, but very effective in identifying and understanding the triggers that are bothering you so you can escape the behavioral patterns that are keeping you stuck. If you want to get the download, again, shoot me a message on Instagram. And as always, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Like it, subscribe if you're loving what you're hearing, and let me know how I can best support you. Talk to you soon.